Welcome to the summit, Peace Beyond Understanding. And I can now introduce you to Marlies Cocheret. Welcome.
Thank you, Susan. Wonderful to be here.
Yeah, and thank you for being here. And you're a spiritual teacher, and you're also a founder of Deep Sanka Waters. And then you also have a degree in psychology, and you're also a tantric instructor. So I look forward to hear more about all this, and all this. Yes, what is this? What is this peace beyond understanding?
Well, peace beyond understanding. Well, first, I'm just so happy to be here and to be part of this summit and that you're organizing this. It's just wonderful. And peace beyond understanding, I think it's something we really need in these days. And peace beyond understanding, in my experience, if I kind of feel into it right now, is to really know who we are, that obviously, or perhaps it's not so obvious, that we're not these bodies and these minds and these thoughts, these ideas, but there's something deeper than that that's just deeply, deeply still. And that's just so peaceful. It's just peace itself. And there's not much to understand about it. It's what is. And the moment we get that that's what is, peace is underlies everything, then the more we actually relax into that, start falling into that and noticing or really realizing that that's who and what we are beyond or underneath all these bodies, then it's just unfathomable. It's like it comes deeper and deeper. In the sense, it's beyond understanding. The more we know who we are, the less we know, really. The less we just know. That's all there is, and it's so amazing that there's no word really that covers it. Even the word peace doesn't do it. And so that's my experience in a nutshell. It's actually at some point it's not even an experience anymore. It's just what is all that is peace, and it's not to be understood. It's what is. Doesn't need our understanding. Doesn't need our ideas. Doesn't need us. We come out of that. We are that, and then we have the opportunity to live as peace in this life. And I think that's really where true enlivenment happens. And that's my interest. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's that substratum, you could say, or that what we are made of, or and all the business of body and mind and world and life and the movement, you could say, um, that's happening in that. So that's also happening, but there is like there's something holding all that, or there's something that's um, making all that happen, or the energy of all that is the unknowable, but that's what we actually are, that silent stillness that is in everything.
Yes. Yes. So we are, in my experience, we are the silence moving. So there's not even a different, first we wake up out of these bodies that we're not these bodies, and then simultaneously we kind of inscend, as I call it, inscend into our bodies, knowing that we also, these bodies, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. So these bodies are that same peace, are the silence. And that's truly, um, you know, to me, that's where it really gets interesting. It's wonderful to transcend and to know I'm this unfathomable, incomprehensible, wondrous emptiness, peace. That's like amazing, right? But then to live as that, to me, that's even more amazing, because that challenges anything that's not free. And then to deeply know that our bodies are peace. This flesh is peace. It rises out of emptiness, out of peace. And when we can live and move as peace, that's aliveness, that's embodiment. So I've been talking more and more about from kind of living life from enlightenment into enlivenment. It's just coming, that's that true wholeness moving, and where there's absolutely no separation. And to live that non-separation, to live that in the flesh, that to me is the most amazing thing in these lives, to use these precious bodies. And that takes everything, to live as pure love, pure peace, every moment of our lives. So that at the end, so to speak, when we close our eyes for the last time, that we know I lived it to the fullest that I could. That's what I love about knowing I am peace, even though I don't quite understand anything and I don't need to. I just need to follow the orders and see where this wants to move.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not like there is a person here thinking. It's just thinking happening, right? It's like thoughts happening and actions happening, emotions happening. Everything is happening, but there's not this separate self there that is happening to or for. It's just happening. And it's like, wow, this body mind gets to experience all this happening.
Yeah, it's delicious when we actually dare to experience. Yeah, when we truly dare to experience being human, that is, it's happening. And when we come really, really close to that really enter into these bodies, or have these bodies fully enter into peace, and to really taste the taste of peace in and as our bodies, or our bodies in and as peace. That is such a beautiful experience, and uh, a wonderful gift of being in our bodies, to use them, to use them first to wake up out, but then to insert in and live. And that means there is pain. As long as there's a body, there's pain. As long as there's a body, there's pleasure. Do we dare that happening, so called, of pain and pleasure and ecstasy and the most deepest devastation of the heartbreak? Do we dare to experience that, taste that, feel that, and let that move also? Let that be fully experienced without going into any kind of, or, little self coming up like, well, this is wrong, this is bad, I shouldn't, blah, 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 blah. That's what starts leaving over time. So that more and more you come in the direct experience of what is the taste of life right now. And that takes courage, to dare to taste. Because when we just think, yeah, life is happening and this is just moving, that's wonderful. Yes, it's true. And when life is happening, while life is happening, do we dare to experience it all as love, as peace? And that taste of peace. Peace tastes everything. Yeah, tastes, it feels, it hears, it sees, it, everything, everything.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, like live it fully, like experience it fully without resist is something resisting there, because even that something that resist is not, doesn't even exist really. It's just a
Well, it doesn't exist, but it also does. So then it's like when resistance happens, can I taste the taste of resistance? We all know resistance. We all know ambivalence. We all know ecstasy, I assume. So there's a taste within everything. Do we dare to drink that cup too? And I have found the more we dare to taste every taste, from pain to pleasure, resistance, just you name it, the more I dare to taste it, the more actually I taste peace. Yeah, because most people want to go away of a lot of human experiences that don't feel so good. So the more we go away, actually, the less we taste peace. The more we dare to taste, then we know that every taste comes into peace and flows out of peace. And every taste is, how do you call it, like imbued with peace. It's peace itself. So it's but we can only know that from our experience. And that takes from going into the body, tasting, at least in my experience, tasting, like, what's the taste of peace in my body? How is peace or the silence of my being experienced in my body right now? That really takes courage to dare to taste that, like, oh wow, it's a little trembling in my body, or there's this fine energy. Okay, move in even closer. And that, in my experience, becomes so sensual. These bodies are just so sensual, and that's all expressions of peace.
Mm.
So, and then the more and more we go into that, it keeps going into more and more refinement, till we end up with peace. And then every time something new gets revealed, it's fresh, it's new. Even though in the ground, peace is peace, it's permanent in a way, it doesn't change. And what looks out of our eyes doesn't change. And still, what's being touched changes all the time. And who we are, the what gets touched is so deeply touched, and simultaneously nothing can be touched, and simultaneously you're deeply touched. It's such a paradox. That's why it's often hard to talk about all of this.
Yeah, yeah, because it is that peace or silence and stillness and all that never changes. Yeah, and yet it's also all the movement, all the life and forms and sounds and everything in our lives. And it's everything that's also reality too. So it's the stillness and the movement, and it's one of the same, right? They're not separate, they're also one of the same. So it's life is also um, the peace we are. So even though life doesn't always feel good, and it can be pain or trauma, or it can feel like that, very strong and very contracted, but it's still that too. It's also the peace, although it doesn't seem like peace at all. Right?
Right. Yes. At the heart, the heart of peace receives everything, doesn't make any distinction, this is good, this is bad, and it's not separate, doesn't separate anything out. And isn't that beautiful, that the heart of peace, receives all equally, shines on everything equally. It's just only in our mind we make any kind of separation, or the moment we believe we set heaven and earth apart. But everything is connected. Everything is connected. And
Yeah.
I'm just living here on a little farm, and so right in nature, and just close by the animals, and it's just everything is connected. It's just so beautiful to feel it, to know it, to see it, and nothing can exist separate from anything else. You know, I'm looking here out the window and there are trees here, and when we take the ground away, there's nothing here that the tree can stand on. You know, it's all connected, it's all close, it's all one and the same. And when we really experience that from within, something comes to life. Naturally, something comes to life. Because the moment we think we're separate, there's something starts dying in us. You know, something falls down. The moment we know where this alive silence, this alive peace, everything is alive. We know ourselves as alive silence or alive peace. That's a whole other life.
Yeah. And we are all that. We are all that peace already, and that awareness or God or love or whatever we call it, presence. And I mean that's what we are. And it's amazing that we overlook it all the time.
Yeah, yeah. It's the simplest thing, huh? It's always here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That to me is the most amazing thing also. It's like, how can what we are, and that's the simplest thing, right in front of our nose, it's even closer than our nose. How is it that we overlook that? But you know, we're taught in our upbringing to distract ourselves. You know, we live in a distraction society, especially now. You know, computers are fantastic. You know, what a technique, and TVs and God, you name it. But it's also very distracting. It's like, how can we use it for the wholeness of all?
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many distractions, and that's also part of the survival, right? To always have the mind on alert, right? Like survival mechanism.
Yeah.
But it's just like then we're like, oh, that's who I am. I'm my mind, because it's in charge all the time, and we become so used to the mind, and then we know I'm just the knowing of everything, or the like almost the space of all that happens, and whatever my mind tells me about that doesn't
Yes.
matter really. It's just, yeah, well, it matters if my mind tells me, oh, there's a bus, don't go out on the street till the bus passes by. Yes, lovely, thank you, mind, right? But other than that, I don't need it to tell me all kinds of things all the time, right? Unless it's for my survival. But it's like it's on overdrive.
Yeah. And you know, of course we, in a way, deep in our hearts, we know peace. And then when we wake up to peace, who we really are, then we want to live as peace. And then it can be so annoying to have this mind circling around and still believing it, even though we know it's not true, but still it's believed. And that, I think, is the most challenging on the so-called path, you know, to keep on staying steady on the path of, I rest as peace, I rest as this pure love that I am, to the best of my abilities. And then it takes just so much compassion, you know. Then we also start realizing these thoughts, they're really so innocent. They're just innocence, moving. There's nothing personal about it. We can say it's not personal, but if you don't really know it's not personal, it kind of something opens up in the heart, like, wow, it's just so innocent, these thoughts. And yes, they can be annoying, but we all know that. Or they can be very pleasurable. But then it's just also so innocent. And I think that's the beauty of living this life to the fullest. When life gives us all these experiences to over and over find out that I'm not in charge. Love is in charge. Yeah. And to dare to trust that and I just an example comes to mind right now. I was at some point really, really sick, and my doctor told me I had just, a few more weeks to live,
Whoa.
unless I was going to going to go on dialysis. And I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I remember I was going home. I went home and I sat on my bed and I had like, okay, well, say I choose not to do dialysis. Is there anything I need to arrange? Is there? No, it was like, okay. So, so then I just really spoke and had like, okay, please show me clearly what needs to happen. I don't know what to do right now. And this came total peace over me. And then I went to bed, and actually there was a friend of mine there. He said, "Well, I hope you really take the dialysis because I want you to stay here longer." I said, I don't know what truly wants to happen. I just have no clarity yet. And then the next day, lots of things happened that I actually did go on dialysis, but it was just following peace, following what was being revealed. So the more we dare to rest as peace and trust that that's our home and our guide and shows us exactly how to move, the more we trust that, the more we listen to that, the more we trust it even more. And then the easier life tends to be. It doesn't mean there will not be challenges, because I had 10 million challenges after that. And in the midst of that, there's the deep knowing all is taken care of. Peace knows. Love knows how to move. And then the body and love, they fall together as one. They're just not two anymore. It's just a total knowing of that's what wants to move. And that's what happened. Life took care of everything. The whole dialysis story. And it's just so heart opening, and it's no matter how challenging or painful it is. And if we can all come to that place in our lives, to learn to completely trust that we're taken care of, all is well, no matter how hard things are in life, all is well. And that brings us naturally to wholeness. And wholeness doesn't mean we all get healed from whatever happens to our bodies or in our lives. It's we just know all is well. There's a deep wholeness. And it's not a spacing out, it's just a knowing all is well. And I'm here in the midst of that. And to me, that's the most vibrant, to live our lives like that, in that vibrancy, to trust. And then we cannot but move as peace and stepping in the unknown with that. And then whatever needs to be known in the moment will be shown to us. So yeah, that's what touches me in my life. And I see that also in other people's life. The moment they dare to trust peace, their whole life changes. Because first of all, it's less tiring, it's less figuring out. It's just steeping in and trusting our own connection with all that is will show us. And then we can start dreaming, what is it that wants to unfold here?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very beautiful way to live life. It's, yeah, like a natural guide.
Yes, yes, it is, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. And there's, because it's also very innocent. It sounds very innocent to me too, like the innocence of, because we don't know what's going on and what's going to happen, and we don't really know who or what we are, and we can, other than just, well, I know I exist, and this existence is, it feels pretty good too, even in the body, but also just all these colors and forms and life and experiences with other people and such. Is like, wow, how amazing is that? However that all comes about, I don't know, and I'll never know, right? Because it's beyond the mind to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is that, and yeah, that I don't have to understand it and how it's all put together or how it all plays out and if it's an illusion or not or whatever. It's just what happens and what's appearing. I'll go with it, or I mean, it's just it's like the mind always wants to understand and know and so on, but it can't, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it cannot. Yeah. But even when you're saying it, you just feel that your aliveness, something comes to life. And that's what happens.
Yeah, it's that aliveness that's just there. And that in itself, that's it, the being, right? The beingness, the aliveness, that's that's the peace. That's resting in that seems very peaceful.
It's very peaceful and very alive. It's both simultaneously. And isn't that the most interesting thing to do? Because a lot I've noticed, and I had it in the past myself, we can think we have deep meditations, and it sincerely can be true, of course. But also many times I notice people are quite numb, so you can have kind of a numb meditation and you think it's very still, but it's really numb. And it's important to ask ourselves, am I numb? Or is numbness here? Or am I truly deeply still and at peace? And the more we truly are deeply still and at peace, then within that stillness is the most incredible aliveness. And that's what you can know and see and feel and live. That's what wants to be lived. Doesn't mean we all need to be all very loud. No, it's just very vibrant and alive. It's radiant. It's like radiating as peace. Because peace radiates. The silence of our being radiates. That's what it does. It's natural. And it's deeply, 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 deeply still.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so wonderful. And it is full of wonder too, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And there's that curiosity about everything that's always there, but it's part of the movement, I guess. It's just curious about everything, and the aliveness, curious about the aliveness.
Yes. Yes. And that's, one of the natural side effects. The more we're resting as peace, the more curiosity is there. Exactly as you say, curiosity. You don't live your life from fear anymore. You live your life from curiosity. Yeah. And you fall outside of the matrix, outside any kind of matrix, your own imprisonment, you know, your own enslaved self, this so-called personal matrix, but also the matrix in the world, political matrix and the educational matrix, the spiritual matrix. There's so many matrices that we believe in, and we think we're free, and we're still right in the matrix. We're not we're not at we're not really outside that framework.
Yeah. And then we also include all the matrices too, right?
But we're not of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's very different.
Yeah. 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 We see it for what it is, matrices, and it's not who we actually are as such.
Yeah, yeah, we wake up out of them.
Mm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that brings so much life, because those, you call that shackles, those shackles all fall loose, they all fall away. And there's that freedom, the true freedom, freedom of choice, yeah, freedom of movement, freedom of life. How
Yeah.
that now wants to be experienced and lived.
Yeah, lived. I like the whole, lived, embodied, and enlivenment, and because it is life that's living through these body minds vessels, you could say. It's
Yeah.
life. There's not a person there living. It's life being lived.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
To enjoy that, to be that, to live as that. That's not very serious, and sometimes it's very serious. But it's just tasting. When we truly can go inside and taste, really, really taste the silence of our being, or taste um, peace. It's just so delicious, you know. It's just so alive, so unknown and known simultaneously. It's like incomprehensible. It's like the how would you call it, the velvetliness of the universe. It's so soft and so wild and so open and so close. It's like everything. And I've noticed in my own life that in the early days, 40, 50 years ago, I had this idea of spirituality, when I wake up or when enlightenment is here or whatever, then, I will be really like very steady and kind of in control of everything, and everything will be okay. And I have a very different experience. It's like, yeah, all is okay, but there's this aliveness. And I never knew that this aliveness would be so huge and so refined and simultaneously so huge. And that, and simultaneous, there's this steadiness, this steady presence, this steady I am. It's just here. And then
Yeah.
around, there's all this life that wants to be lived.
Yeah.
That's the beauty also when I watch here the trees, it's just so beautiful to see that the leaves moving in the wind, and then some days there's no wind, it's just still, so still, and then now it's all dancing. It's just peace dancing, and we're the same, you know, peace dancing, love moving, peace moving, and there's nothing personal about it. There's just nothing personal about it. And even though it can feel so personal, right? It's so personal, it's so natural. It's just natural. It's our true nature. It's natural, true nature.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much. I really, yeah, it was beautiful.
Mm.
Your website, how can people get in touch with you and some events?
Yeah, my website is marliescocheret.com, and I offer weekly guided meditations, and every other month I offer a 3 half-day retreat online, silent retreat, and I offer Way of Woman retreats online and in person also. The last few years has been a little bit different because of the situation. And so a lot of offerings, monthly satsangs and monthly meetings for women only, monthly meetings for men and women. So yeah, you will be able to find that all on my website.
Great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
You too. Yeah, you too, Susan. Thank you so much for offering this summit and inviting me. Thank you.
Mm.